You're listening to Barely Legal in Web3. I'm your host, Jamelia Greer. On this podcast, we talk about everything at the intersection between legal compliance and Web3 innovation. This podcast is an audio extract from my YouTube channel, where I bring to you in-depth interviews with Web3 entrepreneurs and innovators in Dubai and beyond. Listen, if you're a lawyer looking to upskill into Web3, you can check out my website, bitebow.io, for courses and our flagship Web3 Bootcamp. The Bootcamp provides you information about NFTs, cryptocurrency, and DAOs, and their associated business models and legal considerations. And the best part is, it's all taught by me. That's not really even the best part. You also get a chance to gain hands-on work experience with one of our partner companies. So no more feeling like you don't have the skills to actually do this stuff. And all of the information that's in this bootcamp is based upon my 15 years of legal experience across the world as an associate at law firm, in-house counsel, and most importantly, being an entrepreneur myself. So if you're really keen on it and you want to level up into Web3, check out bitebow.io. And now, on to today's discussion. All right, we are on. Amanda, welcome so much to Barely Legal in Web3. You know, Amanda, I know we were casually talking before the start of this, and I'm just really fascinated with the luxury side of First Ape Wives Club. I mean, I don't want to kind of get into too much of the utility of it, but just to kick off, why don't you tell people who are watching what First Ape Wives Club is and why you started it?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. First Ape Wives Club, you're put together originally as a brand that had female empowerment behind it. You know, the first Wives Club film, if you remember that one, it was about women getting together and creating a community that was somewhere that all the women could go to work towards like achieving goals and their passions. So that was kind of, that meaning behind that name, and adapting it into the Web3 world was, to choose a character, and that was the ape wife. So that's how it sort of came together, and it evolved with, a lot of utility that we have, been working on for about 12 months. So there is huge utility in the real life, which, we hope bridges the gap between where people are at now and getting to understand how that NFT and Web3 technology can benefit them, and bridge that to real life. So sort of showcasing that. And, as you said, there's a huge luxury travel program behind it. And, we definitely want to get into that and sort of explain that. But there's 2,000 hotels globally involved. So
that's amazing. And something about me, I used to work at Marriott, and one of my favorite parts of that role was traveling to the luxury brand hotels. So like your St. Regis, your Ritz-Carlton, because they acquired Starwood after.
Yeah, that's a great group.
It's a great group. And I love this whole idea of like, First Ape Wives is that, there's a luxury side to it, because I think most women these days really want to pamper themselves. At least that's what I like to do. And when I think of luxury travel, I think of pampering myself. So like, are there those kind of benefits? Tell us a little bit about the benefits and that are involved.
Yeah, so actually the Marriott Group is one of our partners, as well as, Dorchester Collection, Peninsula. A lot of really like Sofitel Group. I mean, there's so many in there that we have these global partnerships with. But, when our members book this through our travel agents, who are travel partners of ours, pre-established companies that we've had relationships with for many years in our former career, we have the ability to upgrade everybody's rooms, give them $100 food and beverage credit, complimentary breakfast. In some cases, the general manager sends champagne in a letter.
Champagne? Wait a minute.
That's special. I mean, no, but it actually happens all the time. I've been traveling recently as a customer, to test it out, and it happens all the time. Some of them have like Teslas picking you up from the airport, spa access. There's all these little perks that, as people who like to travel, to have that, just like that little extra care or feeling of like, VIP. It just sort of makes the experience a lot more special. And we also give like early and late checkout, which for me is always a great addition because I'm always arriving wanting to get into my room.
And it's so funny because when you think of like the whole like persona behind Bored Ape, and then you kind of think of, I mean, I know it's kind of a play on that, right? But you kind of think of like, what would an ape wife be like, right? Like what would she like to do? How would she live her life? I mean, it seems like you guys have really classified this persona of a woman who is, I mean, and I'm just putting words in your mouth, but when I see it and when I think about it, is that she's high powered, and not just empowered, but she has her own power coming from herself. Can you talk a little bit about like that persona? Because I think a lot of people are interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, the ape wife persona is all of that, and it encompasses all of the boss-like qualities that everybody is capable of having. We want to, ignite that in our community and empower people to, take on that part of the persona. We also like to have fun, and be a little bit tongue in cheek. We just definitely want to make sure that everybody's, enjoying the best of life, but also like having fun doing it, because I think, having all of this, I've seen a lot of people with a lot of these resources at their fingertips, but if they're not super happy and having a good time and laughing and with each other, then it makes the experience not as valued as it can be when you can really like enjoy life with each other and yourself. And I think that's part of the persona, and also sort of not worrying too much about what other people think of you. It's sort of don't worry, be yourself. Yeah, be your best self. But, like we definitely don't take ourselves too seriously, but we are, empowered. We want everyone to feel empowered, and, we don't want to, there's not too much like constraints around like who we can be, because we want to like keep that open to what's possible and impossible. So yeah, just like letting everybody sort of take on the best, parts of what they see here and, use it to their own sort of interpretation. But it is a big personality.
I love it. And I read that there's also like an intersection of entertainment and Hollywood in this. Can you talk a little bit about maybe even your background and how that kind of bled into this?
Yeah. So one thing that we all know is that, obviously luxury and lifestyle is a huge category of something that we want to represent. But also, we have the Hollywood celebrity kind of access due to my previous jobs in the past. And, over the last 15 years, I worked in the entertainment industry as a publicist, and more recently as a film producer. And my job was always to get people what they couldn't get, and get them into places and network with people and rooms that they might not usually have access to. So I got to meet a lot of people in the industry. And my first job in America I was the publicist for Michael Jackson's family after he passed away, and representing them through a pretty tough time. That was my entry to America, and so it was quite a very steep learning curve, and highly interesting. It was also very you can imagine, like there was a lot of emotion and a lot of chaos going on at the time. There was a court case, and obviously there, I was dealing directly with Michael's mother and his daughter Paris, doing their first world interviews, talking about like what that was to them, and and going through that on like a pretty public level. So having to produce and manage that and all these different relationships was huge experience going into global media roles. And so as a publicist, that really kind of set me up to be able to work with a lot of very hard tasks and interesting people. And from there I went on to work with the Hefner family, members of the Rolling Stones, Priscilla Presley, the Hilton girls, all different types of people. But Lindsay Lohan, when it was like crazy, always when it was like the craziest was when I usually came in to come and manage something, that needed some, global press management. And I won't call it crisis management, but it was sort of when the heat is on, that was when I came in. And so that really sort of like made me very, very, very agile and ready to deal with pretty much anything that could come my way. And over time the media industry changed, social media became such a big thing, and then I saw this opportunity in Web3, and I just thought, wow, that's something that's really groundbreaking, and we can take all of these like experiences that we've had in other media and bring it into this new world of media. And so that's why I was really passionately like interested to get involved, because it was like been a while since we'd experienced something we didn't understand. And I mean, I'm sure you felt the same, like when you checked it all out.
Absolutely. And for me, it was kind of like, how do I bring this experience of legal over into Web3, which is like, it's okay.
I need to talk to you offline, man. We all need, like there's so many things like that people are working out legally. So what would you say?
I would agree. But I mean, now that I'm in it, I could totally see how entertainment and media be such a good intersection. And, as you talk about those issues and the lifestyles, I'm sure you had a lot of access and visibility to those types of lifestyles. It's really cool that you're able to take like pieces of those lifestyles and then incorporate it into the utility for the NFT. And I mean, what is like your average holder like? I mean, if you kind of were to interview one of the holders, who is that person?
I mean, I can see anyone from the community of like my friends that I'm bringing in, because we want to have all these leaders of our community so that we can have these kind of discussions, as a community, like when, we've got all these Twitter spaces and Discord rooms and whatever we have, but we want to bridge that gap so that we can all have these discussions. And, but yeah, so there'll be people of that, that are like top of their game in the entertainment business. There will be people all from like, Web3, and I hope smart investors that we are attracting as well. We want to have the people who are participating on our travel program and, and want to get involved like that. But, we always also want those who are like looking for a savvy investment to consider the First Ape Wives Club, because we are putting beyond this like initial offering of the in real life membership. We're building out so many other categories of business that we want this to be considered like a share in our company. We're building out animation, gaming, metaverse plays. We're looking at some major partnerships that we'll announce soon, which will, I think I wish I could say now, but it really is, it's completing our play of like, being the Black Amex for the Web3 company, for the Web3 world, but also giving that access to people that don't want to spend $2,000 a year and $1 million a month. Like we're sort of, if you're a dreamer and you're entering this space because you see the opportunity, then we want to show you what that opportunity feels like in real life as well. So, we want to, also give, the, full 360 version of being a player in the community of cryptocurrency and blockchain and all the Web3 things that we're all developing. So we're, we don't want to be like just one group of people. I think there's, a community will be at its best when it offers all different types of cultures and communities to, be able to give their part of what their experience is.
I love that. And I love that you said that, because that's part of what it's about, right? I mean, it's about the diversity of it. And when you allow women who haven't had, that type of access and that type of visibility to that type of lifestyle to really get close to it and to feel that, I mean, like, that's what motivates me. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I tell this story a lot, but like when I first started law school, I didn't know that I wanted to I knew I wanted to do something international, but my main requirements were that I wanted to fly business class and not have to pay for it. And I wanted to have nice shoes and nice handbags. That's all I knew. And I didn't.
Are we there?
that was like my career requirement. And it's funny,
Yeah.
like it sounds very shallow, right? But we have to be honest with ourselves is that we all, most of us, I can't say all, but for the most part, many people want that and they want to have the finer things. I mean, why would you not want to fly and not have to pay for it? Like, why would you, I mean,
Yeah, if it makes us work harder and smarter, like why not? You know what I mean? Like, and I always say, like, if you act like this, more of that will come to you energetically. Like, I just feel sometimes it's like if shit is hitting the fan, excuse my language, go to a nice place and let it hit the fan because it
yes.
won't, and if it's going, and if you're like sometimes just that energy will make it like things better, like because you will be able to like, sit and feel the energy of something that is, really really great in life, and it will be able to make you attract all these other greater things in success, in personal life, in all different ways. But sometimes it's like if you step into that, you can like manifest it a little bit more around you in different ways. And so I think it's also, not just superficial, it's very, very good for you.
It is. No, it really is. And I spend an extraordinary amount of my time on the Palm in Dubai at the nice
Mm.
hotels.
I
Um,
like it.
and it's because of exactly what you just said. Is that when I'm hustling and I'm working either with, law practice or with building a business, then I hit a wall. I hit an energy wall and I need to be refreshed. I need to be, kind of renewed. And I just go there and I get in this element and I get close to the water and I'm like, boom, that's it. That's for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny how your surroundings are so important, and how you feel, how well rested you are. All of these things play, such a key role in how you, do your best every day.
Would you see? And I'm thinking of like, so I know a lot of women, particularly women lawyers, that are new into Web3 and they're new into the space. And would you see this NFT as like a gateway NFT for them? Is it something that they should probably, check out and get to understand as far as what it feels like to be part of a community like this?
Yeah, and absolutely we would I mean, the more smarter women that we can attract to our community, the better, that's for sure. So we we respect that knowledge coming to our community. And but yeah, look, I think once they get in, like I mean, look at our Twitter and feel us out. But I think that's the kind of like once we get further along and we're in more live discussions as we grow, I think those spaces and and conversations will resonate with people. And I hope it resonates with, I hope everyone puts the input so that we can always have those conversations. Because I think I am on Twitter a lot right now because we're growing our community. And I would encourage more people to ask questions and like and
Speak
start
up, get
talking.
out there.
Yeah. Harass my inbox, please. I would love that. And we will start doing some live discussions on there soon and bringing some of these ambassadors that we talk about, from the entertainment business or, other Web3 founders and leaders like yourself. But, we've just been building a community so that we've got the audience there to start these conversations. But in the meantime, yeah, we definitely want to feel that out.
That's amazing. So one thing I was thinking, Amanda, both you and I are kind of like founders, women founders in Web3. And there's all this talk about the experience of being a woman in Web3, the ups, the downs, challenges, and all of that. I mean, what are the challenges, if any, that you kind of see and experience for women in Web3? I'll say women founders.
Women founders. You know what? I think I do appreciate that there is a difference between women and men founders. I just don't think there's so many of us. That's all. Like, I've not really personally ran into any kind of things that have disabled me because I've been a woman. because I've actually found the Web3 community one of the most embracing communities I've ever worked in, from the men and the women. That was one of the things that attracted me the most, was that it was just so unguarded. The people were so warm, and everybody wants everyone to get in on it, right? So I haven't really found any of those issues. I think there's just a low number of representation, which is what we're missing. So it's sort of like we need more of these women, more women to come to the party. But I think there's an equal offering for everybody out there. And, this is one of the first industries that I could say it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. There is definitely a lot more men and bros, but they are definitely totally cool with us being here. And, that there is even I can tell you right now in my Twitter growth, most of them are still guys. Like,
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
They're all supporting our project. Yeah, for sure. Like, we are definitely, getting supported by these guys. And, obviously I may be also like a lot more of a stronger personality maybe than other women. And if other women are experiencing that, like, I would love to, talk to them and represent that, because, because I do speak, I do really sort of feel that we can level up with these guys without it being too much of a problem.
That really resonates with me. I really think that the Web3 industry as a whole is warmer than other industries. And you've worked in, corporate settings, and
and like socially awkward places, you know what I mean? And attended some pretty socially like, what's going on here? But I can tell you, when you walk into an NFT community, like, everybody's welcome. And there isn't so much like, I don't know, it just doesn't have that like, I don't know, there just seems to be a very nice energy around it, without that kind of who are you talking to and who's friends with who and all that sort of stuff, which you experience in Hollywood a lot. But yeah, that was definitely one of the things. I went to an event in LA way back when I was getting started, and it was my first NFT event, and I walked in, and the guys that I met were so great. They asked me to come speak on their like panel at South by Southwest. They were loving that women were getting involved, and and they always check in. And I think there is definitely definitely we just need more women.
Yeah. And I think that point that you made about the men welcoming you in, I think that's true as well. I mean,
I hope you experience the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I also would encourage more women to get into the space. I mean, I think this whole idea, this whole imposter syndrome has to stop. Like, we have to stop doing that to ourselves and second guessing ourselves and saying, oh, well, maybe I don't know enough. You have an idea. You know the bare minimum about how the technology works. Go forward with your idea. And if you need help, find team members, find people that support you.
And look, if you think about this in one way, since when has a company succeeded based on community until Web3? Obviously, yes, they've had followers or this or that, but true community is what women specialize in building in their homes and in their families and in their social circles. We're the party organizers,
Yes.
We organize the holidays. We are community leaders. Like, women should be better at this than men. So no disrespect to guys, but by nature, women are community leaders, and and that's what these companies will succeed on. So anyone who's thinking, oh, I don't know if you can do it, you definitely can. And you just, as you said, find the other people that can fill the gaps of the things you don't know. Because how many people probably listening to this podcast think, oh, I'd love to do something, but all their skills are different. If there's a space they can discuss, which hopefully is ours, they can all get together and go do something, and we'll give them tips.
Exactly. And this whole idea of entrepreneurship, because Web3 forces you to kind of think outside the box. I mean, this whole decentralized nature of the data that's floating around, it forces you to think, well, if things are decentralized, right, and if there's more transparency, and if the playing field is somewhat leveled, there's more opportunity for me. And I think you're seeing a lot more people getting into this entrepreneurial mindset. So that also should be a boost for them to use it in that way.
Oh yeah, there's unlimited amounts of growth coming up soon. And I understand that everybody may be a little bit shy because of the market, these past few months has given a lot of bad press to all the Web3 projects. But, it had to happen, like, to balance things out. And it happened in the real world, in the stock market. And, if you look in the last couple of weeks, I mean, the announcements coming through from Meta and Google and Twitter and all these guys is that, like, at the forefront of these technology platforms is the blockchain implementation. And, if you take notice of what the biggest companies are doing, they're pretty much going to filter down, and that the technology is here to stay. It makes sense. We've just got to work out how to adapt it so that we can all understand and fuse it into our day-to-day life. Previously, it just looked like a bunch of art and everyone kind of a bit confused. We have to have that art and that creative component, but also, like, how is this technology becoming part of our day-to-day life? And that is why building these utilities and ecosystems around these NFTs is key to this long-term success of brands like mine and and others coming out of development, is to to the market. Is, I'm sure they'll have a lot more of this to show, like, what does the technology do for me?
I think that's key, and that's going to move everything towards mass adoption. In terms of what are you doing on a day-to-day basis with this technology? How do you really interact with it? Where do you see this? I mean, you've given a bit of a hint about where you see this going a few years from now. Let me put a twist on it. Where do you see First Ape Wives going a few years from now? Don't
Sure.
spill the beans on your upcoming partnerships, but we wouldn't mind.
I mean, look, I would love everybody to be, using the First Ape Wife brand in daily transactions and, earning points and flying around the world and using our agents in the real life, wearing our, different things that we're looking to, also have, like, fashion items and all of this. But, going into Web3, we want to be leading in gaming. We're sort of coming up with some cool partnerships that, gaming is something that is definitely one of our big areas of, of attraction. So we do want to sort of build that out. We're looking at multiple worlds and what's all out there, and, how to sort of get into all that, but, just sort of watching the market so that we can be agnostic across, as many platforms as we can. And then, looking into, how we enter the metaverse as characters and with shopping and items and I think we've got, like, a tennis club planned and, for, just fun stuff, like, before we get too far. But I mean, yeah, there's going to be some big announcements in the next couple of weeks. I hope 2-3 weeks. Also looking at an animation with some pretty well-known people to sort of, like, also take our characters into the mainstream so people can see, these NFTs are going to be making money for their owners. And, that is, case studies shown of how owning an NFT can also make you money. Because we will be having the people who own the apes that we cast in these shows will, be earning talent fees. We want to show how that all is going to work. So there's some fun little things that we'll do while we're waiting for the metaverse fully to be fledged. But, we'd love people, the metaverse down the track, but trying to come up with as many 2D kind of options that we can in the meantime, and, give our shareholders or our NFT holders what, value so that they can, their investment is growing. And yeah, it's a lot of things.
That, so it sounds like what you're describing is that the holders will actually own the IP for their NFTs.
Yeah. We're looking to pass that on to our holders, and, we'd love to make sure that they follow certain guidelines, because we want to make sure that, when they do use that IP that they keep the ape wives in the class that they've become accustomed to. We don't want them, like, selling their souls on the metaverse or anything like that. But yeah, we do want to we do want to offer that to our holders so that the value is, substantial for them, in the future if we do our job right, which we plan to do with some pretty incredible partners.
Well, you had me at luxury and at, the travel piece, but when you talk about the ability to use the NFT towards like something entrepreneurial or to use it in whichever way, that's even more exciting. And, I think what you guys are doing for women is great. I personally, I can't wait to hear the news in the next 3 weeks. For what's coming up. So please do keep us posted. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you, Amanda. And I mean, First Ape Wives, it sounds like, you guys have a lot of great things going. Oops. We'll have to record that. That one. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Amanda. And it sounds like First Ape Wives Club, you guys have a lot of great things going. And I can't wait to see what's coming up in the next month or two.
Okay, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's been amazing. Thanks so much. And one thing I'd like to ask is if people are looking to find more information about First Ape Wives Club and if they're looking to find you to give feedback, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, look, I mean, everything's happening on our Twitter. Like as much as I can update right now, it's all on our Twitter, which is at First Ape Wives. I'm on there. I'm listed on the top there. It's Amanda Rules with a Z because I'm so mature. And we've got a website, firstapewivesclub.io, and all of our like social links are on there as well. So, but we're very accessible. So yeah, please hit us up over on any of those channels.
Hey, let me know when you stop by Dubai. And we'll we'll be trying out those NFTs at the
Yeah. I love it. All right. Thank you so much. That was really fun.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to today's episode. I appreciate when you guys tune in and the time that you take to listen to the show and support us. And I have one thing that I'd love for you to do that would really help us out, which is rate the show. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you rate it. You can do it on whatever platform you're listening on. That would do wonders for us. And if you really want to be a super fan and really support the show, there's a link below that you can support us and donate a small monthly contribution, which allows us to continue to create great content for you. Thanks so much again. Appreciate you and see you next time.